Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning to you.
Yes, you can hear me? Okay.
I
Oh, let's start. Let me turn on. How's that? Now you can see me. Okay.
Hello, beautiful.
Hi, Kashana. Nice to see you.
Ah,
And thank you for letting me move this to 9:30. I it made a huge difference. I'm not sleeping at night very well yet. And so that extra time was great. Thank you.
well, I'm grateful for you to join Dr. G at the Heart of Healthcare as this bonus episode, being an American pioneer in hospice, and it's World Hospice and Palliative Care Day. And you are now a widow and um, lost your husband. And so, everyone, I know I've been wondering, like, how are you? And hoping that you are getting the care that you've advocated for so many years. So, we have to start there. What do you
Okay.
want us to know?
I have an incredible family and friends and the support from really the country from all these people that have sent me. We're thinking of you. It well, it could make me cry thinking of how much love and support is out there. um that's just monumental. um I will say that just a lighter note, I realized this morning, as I'm setting up to do this Zoom, that the only, I will say, person that I've talked to this morning was my cat. And and that's kind of what widowhood brings, is that um aloneness, just as simply as who do you talk to when you get up in the morning. So it's a whole new adventure for me.
Thank you for sharing that personal moment. My my dad lost his wife during the pandemic. And while we were having a talk with sisters and everything, he said something similar, there's nobody in the house, you know, who I can't call you guys at 3 o'clock in the morning. And thank you for sharing that, and all of us are going to be there one day, right? So, wow. Well, we appreciate you today. Let me try to introduce you because I just, first of all, as relatively compared to you, new to the field, just the fact that you would even come on the show to talk about hospice. We're both passionate about it. And the one who wrote that blue book, I'm like, I can't believe it. I just can't even believe that we're here. And so I'm just grateful for everything that you've done. So let me pull this up. So this is a bonus episode, as I mentioned, on World Hospice and Palliative Care Day. We have the legendary Barbara Karnes, RN, American hospice pioneer, award-winning end-of-life educator, author of the Little Hospice Blue Book, and now a widow. So when did you start nursing? Can you tell me when did you like first get out
Sure.
there?
Excuse me. Um, I graduated from nursing school in 1962. And I thought, oh my goodness, I've made a huge mistake. I should have never been a nurse. Actually, I should have been a social worker, but I didn't work in the medical arena at all. I raised a family, um, actually became an interior decorator. I did all kinds of stuff until the 70s. And in the mid 70s, Elizabeth Kubler Ross came forward and said, Americans are not treating their dying appropriately. They are not caring for their dying. And at that same time, Dame Cicely Saunders in England created an idea of caring for people at end of life differently than with the medical model. That sparked my interest, and I thought, this is something I want to do. So I took a refresher course in nursing, and I started out with the first hospice in Kansas City. And I started as a volunteer. I would have paid them, but I volunteered, and that lasted for 4 months. And they brought me on staff as a paid employee. And there were 2 of us nurses that then really began growing this hospice agency, but the hospice philosophy. And I look back now, and I think the fact that I had no medical experience, I've never worked in the medical arena, that was my gift, because I was a clean slate on how to take care of people at end of life. Because taking care of someone at end of life is different than taking care of someone who's going to get better. Most people still don't know that, but we for sure didn't know that in the 70s and in the 80s.
I can't believe that you're name dropping Cicely Saunders and all that stuff. Like, you are actually a part of that movement. Wow. So did you create the book around that time? What, give me a kind of timeline for about that.
In the mid 80s, I was on call one night, and I learned early on, if you are on call and you don't go to the home at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're going to wake up and find your person in the ER. And so, because families are scared and they need that personal reassurance. So it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm in someone's home. I've looked at mom. Mom's doing fine. She's doing what she's supposed to be doing, but the family's scared. And I'm sitting in the living room with the family explaining, this is what labor is. This is what mom's doing. She's doing a good job. And one of the daughters was taking notes. And I thought, oh my goodness, what is wrong with this picture? She should not be having to take notes. So that weekend, and this is before computers, I went home and I sat in my living room with a legal pad, because that's what we wrote on, and wrote what I wanted a family to know and to learn. And I thought, it's got to be 5th grade level, no medical ease, direct, because it's got to be short. People under stress don't have the energy or time to read a book. And it's got to be gentle. And so I put it together, and I took it in to my boss and said, I wrote this and I want you to print it, put it in book form and print it. And we'll use it with our patients and families. And he said, he looked at it and he said, I'm not going to do that, And I said, all right, little red hen, I'll do it myself. And he said, that's fine. I don't care what you do with it. So I printed like 100 copies and handed it out to my families. And I don't know how, but those 100 copies literally got around the country. And all I can think of is that maybe a family I worked with gave it to a family member in a different state. I think that's how it got spread. So one day I came home from work, and my husband, Jack, said, you won't believe what happened today. He said, I've got an order for 50 copies from a hospice in Michigan. And I got an order from a hospice in California
That's my
for,
state.
for 50 books. What's going on, Barbara?
Oh my gosh.
So we printed more copies, and the rest is history.
Mm, mm, mm. And then let's tie it to me, a non-traditional student. I was a stay-at-home mom, and when I went back to school and I went to medical school, I decided to become a doctor. And hospice was the only thing I wanted to do. So while I was on my palliative medicine rotation, I was given your book. But I'm not, I mean, I don't know the players and the people and the legends and all you folks. So I had the book in my Being Mortal book, and I've had it on my bookshelf. And literally, when I posted it on Instagram, I said, wait a minute, the blue book, I opened it and I said, are you kidding me? The lady that I talked to on Instagram is the same one that wrote this book. I didn't even make the connection until that moment.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad that we connected.
And then, so your story, it's so parallel because, today being the day of action for World Hospice and Palliative Care Day, I feel that same urge to do action. And I originally, before you lost your husband, wanted to talk to you about physician enrichment because I want to hear directly from you the things that you want physicians to do because you made a post a couple months ago, and it was on in August, and it said the medical profession will not be able to cure or fix everyone. The physical body is programmed to die. And then you went on to talk about, communication and things like that, because we know that's the problem, right? We're good clinicians, but we're not working well in this environment, the non-hospice ones. And so what can we do to fix that? I tried to help with my little pocket guide so that we have that. And then today, I'm bringing information to everyone in the Real Deal book. But what do you want us to hear as physicians, the whole healthcare community? How can we stop having situations like the death deck posted? Why didn't the doctor tell us about hospice sooner?
Okay, it's such a huge question and such an important one is how can we work with physicians? One thing is that our medical model today is that we take care of diseases that people have, where hospice at end of life, their direction is taking care of people that happen to have diseases. So we need to get our physicians more in touch with the people that have the disease than the disease. That's number one. The physician is at the top of the pyramid. The physician sets the tone for everything that occurs after a diagnosis. And I really want physicians, in looking at the person, to see what the physician's directions and ideas, how that affects the person, and not just, well, we're going to try to fix this disease. I think that is the key point. The other one is, and I have many, but is to touch into the personhood of our patients. And one of that ways of doing that is not to get caught up in medical ease. I remember my mother, who was dying, had a life-threatening illness, sitting in her hospital gown in the office on a examining table, and the physician is talking to her and explaining all kinds of stuff. I happen to know that physician, and I said, David, I don't understand what you're talking about. But my mother sat there nodding her head up and down. She didn't have a clue. We've got to make sure that our patients and their families understand what we're saying. And that's talking at a 5th grade level with not medical ease. That's really important. Another thing, should I just keep going? Are we okay?
Yes, you have the freedom to say what you want.
Okay. One of the other things that this is new, I didn't have to deal with this, but everyone does now, and that's the computer. Every examining room has a computer, and everyone has their itinerary on what they have to do to document. And the computer is taking place of eye contact. It's taking the place of touch. It's taking the place of personhood. And what I want to see in our physicians is get someone else in the room with you to be at that computer and take your notes. You pull up a stool beside that examining table, sit down, reach up, hold their hand, and let's have a serious talk and look them in the eye and talk and touch. Let someone else do the documenting. I think that will do, I mean, that's healing. That's healing no matter what is happening to this person's physical body. Touch, being listened to, being acknowledged, that's healing. And that's where physicians start at the top, and then all the way, this will come down.
I love it. I don't have anything to add. And we hope that the healthcare system, hospitals, can allow the physicians the freedom to be physicians, to do medicine, to do the art of medicine. And thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I will summarize that, and I'll make sure that everyone, is able to hear that message.
Yeah, thank you. Because it's really important in our healthcare environment to acknowledge that everybody dies. We're not going to be able to fix everybody, and that quality of life, living the best you can within the confines that your body and disease puts you in, is really, I'm going to say it, is really more important than that last chemotherapy, that last radiation, when we as physicians know this isn't really going to do any good.
I had to take a deep breath on that because, as the physician, as the hospice physician, um, I get the medical records. I'm reviewing what has happened to that patient before the hospice referral. And, we're amazing, the interdisciplinary team, but we're strangers. I don't see oftentimes their primary care doctor there. I never talk to them. Um, the people who discharged them from the hospital are not engaged anymore. And so our teams do the magic of hospice that we do, but there's a disconnect from everything that they've gone through up till then. And there has to be a better way to make it more of a continuum of care. Um, there has to be a better way.
I hope that by people like us bringing this problem, this situation to light, that more physicians, more healthcare workers will say, oh, wait a minute, I hadn't thought about it like that. I'm going to take another step and say, really, you know where this starts? It starts in med school. It starts with training our physicians. And, you know, most of the training is about disease, and you've got to include personhood, people skills, communication skills. You know, that's as important as diagnostic skills.
Amen. And I have to give my medical school a shout out. I attended Texas A&M College of Medicine in 2016, graduated in 2016. In the first year of medical school, they put us with the standardized patient and said, you need to go share with them some bad news. Talk to them about their heart failure. Like no script, nothing. We had to do it. And then every week during humanities, they introduced palliative to us and various things to us. I really want to mention my mentor, Mary Elizabeth Herring. She was a part of putting that together and she inspired me. And I hope this is a proud moment for her because that curriculum is the reason I'm here.
That's and when we share these stories, it'll make a difference. And how wonderful that you acknowledged her, because she's helping make a difference in our healthcare.
Ah, wow, wow, wow. Well, thank you so much. I mean, I know we've dropped a lot here. I'm going to release this Sunday morning. This is church or temple or whatever people do. I mean, this can save our healthcare system if we just address the people who are dying.
Yeah. Well, and I will have to say, if we just address people, that you don't have to be dying to get compassionate healthcare. You, from the moment we enter a physician's office, we need to be looked in the eye. We need to be touched. We need to be heard, as people to people. And we've got that will then come on down the line and reach people at end of life. But it starts with the moment you walk in to the doctor because you've got a hangnail.
Well, actually, that's more apropos for today to drop this. I'm just going to have to get this done because the theme is compassionate communities. Let's make healthcare compassionate communities everywhere in the United States. Today, there were only 7 events for World Hospice and Palliative Care Day on the map. And I'm like, look, there should be way more. So I hope that next year it amplifies and it's exponential and the people feel empowered and they understand the diseases that they're dealing with and know the trajectory that leads to dying and death, and that they're not surprised at the end or not seeking care timely like our 39th president did.
Right, right. He is and has been an amazing role model throughout his whole life. And it just seemed so perfect that he would also be a role model as he was approaching the end of his life. And I thank him for that.
Yes, thank you, President Jimmy Carter and your family for sharing with the country. And we'll just end on that note. I don't know if you have anything else you want to say because I'm going to have to digest that. But I just appreciate you. I value you. I'm so happy that I met you. And I'll keep working.
Well, thank you for this opportunity for us to have an exchange, and let's hope it's not the last one. We can do this again and reach out to the whole world. We can make a difference. Thank you for inviting me and having this great talk. I enjoyed it, and I think we've done some good work.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Happy World Hospice and Palliative Day. This is Dr. G at the Heart of Healthcare signing out. And this is Nurse Barbara Karnes, the author of the Little Hospice book. And so we thank you for everything, and we express our condolences about you losing your husband, and tell your cat we said hi, and we'll see you online.
Okay. Goodbye.
Take care. Bye.